are the new inks meant to be a replacement or sold alongside the original crisp dye inks?
So the new inks are going to be replacement, but it is going to take a while because we do have quite a lot of oval inks in our warehouse. So we are already looking into creating the fresh dye inks for the existing colors. So when very soon, someone actually asked when this is gonna happen, but you know, in the next year, over the months, we will be releasing the existing colors in this round fresh dye ink formula, as well as the new colors. So yes, the answer is they are a replacement for the crisp dye ink. But I just want to add this, that the re-inkers will be available for purchase later as well.
Yeah, so let's say you've already invested in our original crisp dye ink and you're like, wait a second, what's gonna happen? I won't be able to re-ink my pads if they get dry. And you will. We're understanding that a lot of you have been with us from the beginning, when we were one of the only companies even doing color family sets of 4, or the only, I don't know if I can make that claim, but like we've been doing
at that time, yes.
Yeah, maybe at that time we were. So I know a lot of you have supported us from the beginning. A lot of you love our colors, our signature alt new colors. So those re-inkers will continue to be available.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jen, the next question is, can we still buy the oval inks? Do we need to quickly buy re-inkers for the old ones?
All right, so we just addressed that. And the oval inks will still be around until supplies last. So we're not going to be placing big reorders of those existing inks. We do still have plenty of stock, especially of some of our more popular colors. So you can still take advantage of purchasing them. Those inks are still wonderful. I still use those inks. I've got both round inks and oval inks side by side in my crafting desk, and they both get used, and I love them both. So like Tasnim said, this is eventually going to replace that older ink, but in the meantime, yeah, like use them both.
And Nabil says also re-inkers will be available in the future.
Yes, thank you, Nabil. He's always hanging in the background on our lives. I appreciate it. So Tasnim, why round? What's the advantage? I don't even see a lot of round ink. Where did this come from?
Oh, thank you, Sandra. Sandra is someone I met a few years ago, and she says, you're the star. Thanks so much. So for the round inks, well, look how it nicely fits in the palm of my hand. So like Jen said, you know, there aren't really round inks. We wanted something new and fresh that's not out there. And I thought the round is like really cool. It's a nice shape. It's very elegant. And, you know, Altenew, we do everything elegant and pretty. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't, even though it looks very simple, it was quite the long process of getting, you know, the exact size and, you know, the right amount of rotation and the stacking. So almost like 2 years, I would not say. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, we wanted something that's like easy to open. So it just opens like this, and then you just put it back and twist it close. And something that's like, you know, nice and easy to hold in the palm of your hand. And so that's it, round inks.
And I just want to add that we do have some customers that do have maybe arthritis or some issues with the dexterity or fine motor skills. And I feel like in a lot of ways, these are much easier to open than the other ones because they can be done one-handed. So it really just opens up some more opportunities for anybody who might struggle with opening more traditional or conventional ink pads. So that was something that was important to us as well.
Absolutely. All right, Jen, the next question is the pad area larger or smaller?
It is ever so slightly smaller. You know, when we're changing shape, it can't be like exact. So we knew it was either going to be larger or smaller, right? It's not going to be the exact same area. And we did want it to be easy and comfortable to hold. So if we did make it with a larger pad, then we would start to have struggle to hold it.
Yeah,
bigger one. Yeah, you don't want your hands to cramp, especially after long crafting sessions that I know you guys all have. And we have them too, right? So you don't want to feel hand fatigue. So any larger, it feels like maybe we
would have a little comparison here.
Oh,
right
thank
now.
you.
So the oval is slightly larger. but it's not like a lot bigger. So I want to say it's comparable size, and most importantly, it fits nicely. So I think you would probably hold this one this way, and you'd hold this one this way. So yeah, they're kind of similar in size. It's slightly smaller.
Ease of use was definitely a priority as well while we were, going through different mold options and different sizes, and just making sure that it is something easy for the crafter to use.
Correct. Yeah.
Tasnim, is this the same formula as other dye inks, or are there any other changes?
So between our existing current crisp dye ink and fresh dye ink, it is a different formula. I don't know about other inks out there, but comparing these two, the dye is a little different kind of dye. And yeah, so it is. What's the question? Was that it?
Is the formula the same?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a little different formula.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next question. Do they dry fast?
Yes, super speedy fast. That is one of the advantages of dye ink, because it's not sitting on top of your cardstock or your paper. It is actually dyeing the paper itself. It is getting absorbed in at a very fast rate. So you can ink something, stamp it down, then rub your hand over it, and it's not going to smudge or blend or get messed up in any way, because it does have that almost instant dry, just like our other dye ink.
It's like our crisp dye inks.
Yeah. Tasnim, how do they stamp? Or do they stamp more evenly than other inks?
I want to say it's very similar. It is even, and I think our crisp dye inks also stamps evenly. So actually, at the end of this, I'm gonna do a real comparison. So you guys will get to see like how they stamp, and yeah, it stamps evenly. I don't want to say more evenly. I feel like what we had existing was pretty even, and also like if you got like a little splotch in the beginning, as it dries, it would like dye into, it would spread into the paper. So this ink has a very similar property. So at the end of the day, you get even impression with both inks.
Yeah, just kind of to go off of that, I know that one of the questions that people are asking, like, is this better than the other inks? And it's like a harder question to answer. It is different, but they both perform at the standard that we would want our inks to perform as crafters. And we've been paper crafting for a while, since long before Altenew even existed. So we had a lot of experience with a lot of different types of ink, and we knew what qualities we wanted in our ink. So when we've developed both of these, they were to those high rigorous standards. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I forgot who's asking the next question.
You are.
Okay. How do you store it, Jen?
All right, so my answer is probably different than others. So for me, I store all of my ink the same. I don't know if I can take my phone off of its setup right now and get it back to where it is, so I'm not going to mess around with that. But I have a craft desk with drawers. So my craft desk is from IKEA. Don't ask me what the name is, because I bought it a long time ago and I have no idea. But I've got some shallow drawers that are about this high each. And the beauty of that is it easily fits all of my ink in a stack like this. So this is how I store every family, because most of our color families do have 4 in each set. We do have a couple that are a little bit different, but most of them, like 99%, are all in sets of 4. So I keep them stacked up like this. And now alongside each of those color families, I have the round ink sets, which I will be labeling on the sides to make it even easier. And I like to store them with the lightest on top and the darkest at the bottom. And when I put them away, I do the same thing too. It just keeps everything organized.
Do they fit in the drawer still, the round ones?
Do.
Oh, nice. Because I was looking, they are a little bit higher. So if you compare the oval and the rounds, I stacked 2 of them. So the round ones are slightly higher. For me, like, since I only have like 12 of these now, so they're just like on my table stacked up in sets of 4. But I do use this foam board shelf that I bought on Amazon. It was a good deal. So yeah, and then they fit in those shelves, just so if you're using a shelf, because if you look at this, their sizes are pretty similar. They're not like a big different in terms of their width. So since this one fits in my shelf, this also fits in that shelf. So yeah, so if you're using shelves or like drawers, I want to say like you probably can still keep using the same storage system, because the size is not very different, except that it's round and it's oval. All right.
I think, am I asking the next one? No, I'm confused. All right. Tasnim, are there any available ink holders or shelves for these new inks?
I don't know because I haven't really looked into it, but
Not
as I said,
by Altenew. So that's why,
not by Altenew, yes.
you know, it'd be have to be something that you look for on your own, and we can look for also and see, and maybe we can develop something in the future that'll hold all the inks, because I know storage is an important thing for many crafters.
I want to say, like, if you have a shallow tray, like, you could probably store them this way as well. Like, I've seen some people store like makeup things that are round this way, so that might be a possibility. That if you know a tray is something you want to like keep in your drawer. Like, for example, Jen, you store them this way, right?
Correct.
So if you're storing them this way and then you have like a label, you probably could see all the colors. So that's another possibility. All right. The next question is, are you going to make the same existing shades of the oval inks as Fresh Dye Ink version? I think I already answered that. Yeah.
So it'll be at the same time as releasing new colors. So our strategy right now, which, you know, is just in the early stages, so don't take this as like definite, but we're going to be trying to release new colors and re-release old colors, like kind of side by side, alternating simultaneously, just so that you can build your new color collection while also replacing your old ones if you choose to. And if you're a new customer, or maybe you haven't purchased all of our inks or our signature colors in those old oval cases, you can just purchase them right off the bat in the round cases. So the new Fresh Dye ink versus the crisp dye ink. So.
Absolutely, yeah. All right.
Tasnim, when are we going to release the other color palettes?
Most likely in the first quarter of next year, and then, you know, since we'll be doing both new colors and old colors, so it might be more frequent. I was thinking maybe we should do something in March, but I don't know if that's like a little too too soon. But yeah, I don't have a definite date yet, but in the next we can look forward to it in the next few months. All right, next question, Jen. Can I use them to stamp and then heat emboss on top of the Fresh Dye inks?
So if you were with us earlier in this live, we talked about one of the great qualities is that they do dry quickly. So while you're stamping, you can do ink layering, or you can rub your hand over and it's not going to smudge. But that being said, it's not a good ink to use for heat embossing, because you're going to want an ink that remains wet on the surface of your cardstock so that you can add that powder and it would stick to the embossing powder before you heat emboss it. But if that's what you're looking for, we have pigment inks. So the pigment inks can do that. So we have a good color range, not as many colors as our dye ink, because dye ink is definitely more common, more popular, more widely used. But go for the either embossing ink that we have or any of our dye inks if you'd like to do stamping.
Pigment inks.
And what was that?
You mean to say that pigment inks, because you said dye ink.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Live.
So we have black, gold, and I think 12 colors we have.
All right, Tasnim, can you use these for watercoloring?
Oh yes, absolutely. So just the other day, I just tried it and it looks really beautiful. And I have here a card. Let me just show you guys. So these flowers, I stamped with the redwood ink, and then I just took a wet brush and kind of like spread out the color on it. And so that was one way. And then you can just smush this ink on some non-porous surface and take a brush and try to paint with that as well. I think I might show that as well in a few minutes. All right, are we almost at the end?
Yeah, and I think these last questions are actually kind of a rehash of things we've already discussed. So the last couple of questions are, will you be replacing the colors you already have with this type of ink padded lid system, which we did already address that, we will be. And are they the same colors as previous inks? So the ones we just released are brand new. So we have, Tasnim, can you say the colors, because I don't want to mess it up, the color family.
So the Martian Touré? No, wait, that was the old set.
That was the
I don't know what the set names, but we had the Redwood and the Toasted Mauve and Dusty Rose and the Pink Sand. Yeah. So these are very warm red colors.
Silver Sage and Jade. And then we have the Eucalyptus and Forest Fern.
Mm-hmm.
And then Water Hyacinth, Alpine Nectar, Crystal Violet, and Indigo Skies. So these are all new colors to our color line.
So they're more cool. She said, is the new formula more color fast over time? I believe that's the that's correct. That's what the manufacturer told us. But then, of course, I think it's more subjective. It depends. Like a lot of times, like if you're like for us, like we're card makers, I keep all my cards like in a box. So I don't think they really change color.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have this ink pad from like 8 years ago, from 2014, and it's still the same color to me. Like at least to my eyes, it looks the same. So yes, the new inks are supposed to be more color fast, but also depends like on your usage. Like if you're, I guess it would depend like if you're displaying something versus if you're like storing something away. So I remember seeing one question. This look, I think, where are they made? So the answer to that is the inks are made here in the United States. Right.
I didn't see the question. I'm glad you caught it.
I remember. I don't see it now, but I remember when we were in the beginning when we were talking, someone had asked that question. I think it probably needs a little re-inking too. It's kind of dried up. All right.
We have the re-inkers.
All right. So that's Canyon clay. Let me just make sure my stamp is all nice and dry here. I'm gonna open that, and next I'll stamp it with, what was the color again? Oh, Dusty Rose.
And for those of you who are curious about Tasnim's stamping tool, this is the stamp wheel that a couple people asked about at the start of our live. So although this video is not about the stamp wheel, you get a nice little stamp wheel demo here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using this for almost 2 years now, so this is the tool I've been using for stamping. All right, so that's Dusty Rose. All right, so as you can see, it's a pretty nice, even impression there.
Do you mind holding that up closer to the camera maybe to see the color difference?
I think I don't have the best lighting here, but can you tell?
Yeah, I can see the difference.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's do the dark color now, which is the Redwood. Maybe I'll stamp a leaf with that here.
And thanks again for people who are just joining in. You're getting a nice little demo of our new Fresh Dye inks compared with some existing crisp dye ink colors.
So this is the Redwood. I'm gonna stamp the solid leaf here. Ooh, that looks pretty.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like you put that deep color on, it's like so satisfying.
Right? It's like all solid.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do the rhodolite right opposite to that.
And what's nice is that Tasnim chose to use some solid stamps, so you can really see how both our existing ink and our new ink have amazing coverage, especially when you use a conditioned stamp. So that is a step that some beginner crafters might not know about or forget about doing, but it really is important no matter where your photopolymer stamps are from or no matter which ink you're using, is to properly condition your stamps, which is why we have our stamp conditioning eraser set.
And there's the rhodolite. It's actually pretty close. This one is a lot slightly darker, and this one's a little bit lighter. But you probably, looking at it, probably looks identical almost, right, from the camera.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever want to see a more realistic representation, definitely check out our swatch page, because there they were all taken photos of in consistent lighting, so you'll be able to compare and contrast on the swatch page.
I'm going to do some of the watercoloring, so I'm just going to grab watercolor paper here. Okay, let me put this on the side, and I'll probably use this Redwood since I already have it out. And I'm just going to use this cover of the stamp wheel as my palette.
You can also use an acrylic block for your watercoloring, or you can use one of our palettes that we have on the shop.
I'm gonna put a white paper so you guys can see the color as I smoosh it here. Maybe a little more.
That's the technical term of smooshing.
Okay, so just grab a brush here and some water. I'm just gonna.
I have a question unrelated, but did Laura Basson coin the term smooshing? Because I feel like she was the first person I saw use it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if
it could be.
Ask her.
Okay, so I'm just drawing some leaves here. It's not the best leaves.
I think it looks great.
Okay, add some color at the base. Okay, so yeah, you can watercolor. And I'm just painting leaves here, but obviously you can like color in an image as well.
What's so nice is we have a lot of water-based media at Altenew, so if that's something you're interested in, you can definitely do this type of painting with our dye inks, the new ones and the existing ones. You can also use any of our many watercolor sets. And I'm gonna say there's something coming very soon to keep your eye on, and you might already know about it.
Is that the gouache?
Oh, you said it. I wasn't gonna say it. Yeah.
I love you few days.
We do have some artist gouache coming out.
Oh, I want to show a sneak peek because I used this technique on a card, so it's gonna be designed sneak peek. Let me just grab it because it looks so pretty. Here, Jen saw it the other day. Ta-da!
Oh, it looks so nice.
Look, I stamped this in Cosmic Berry and then just used a wet brush to kind of color in the petals. But yeah.
Anytime Tasnim and I are live, you can almost guarantee you're going to get a sneak peek of something coming up. Can't contain ourselves. We're just too excited about everything.
All right. So if you missed any questions, like Jen said, we'll try to answer them to you directly. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Tasnim, for doing the little demo and for asking questions and answering others.
Thank you, Jen.
And we hope to see all of you soon. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Hey there, Lydia here. I really do hope that you've just enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you can get your daily dose of crafty techniques and tutorials just like this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.